Well, if you don't know already, I split a 2015 Tesla P85D with my good friend Sam. You guys may know Sam. He has a channel here on YouTube called Sam Crack where he plays with cows and other various farm animals, and he likes all sorts of blow-up type contraptions. He also occasionally buys a car from an auction and rebuilds it, and he just revealed our project on his channel, so I'll link it down below. We've put together a cool little series that I hope you all enjoy, and in one of the episodes, I even try to make Sam puke in the car on our very first Ludicrous Plus test drive. This car needed a lot of work, but the sub 3-second 0 to 60 time was a huge motivator for me. We had the Tesla shipped from the auction yard to my house, and when it got here, it was dead on arrival. After hooking up my little jump pack, I was able to give it just enough juice for the handles to come out. I was pretty excited to say the least. Well, actually, I was pretty proud of myself because this took quite a few tries before it woke up.
Oh, look at that. I figured it out. All right. Cannot believe. Look what they did with this freaking bumper. That's ridiculous.
Next was getting the car off the trailer.
So we got service mode, vehicle system over temperature limit, jack mode enabled, and 0 miles of range. And then a huge service mode on the screen.
The cluster had just about every single warning light possible, but the one that worried me the most was the range indicator at 0 miles. Now, Tesla builds in a buffer, so 0 miles doesn't actually mean the battery is fully discharged, but this buffer can run out too, especially in a car that was sitting at an auction lot for who knows how long. A totally discharged battery, especially with no coolant, can turn into an expensive paperweight in short order. Luckily for me, the car did go into gear, but I had to be extra careful due to a broken front subframe and a hanging lower control arm, not to mention the AC condenser and fan was hitting the ground, which in hindsight, I probably should have temporarily secured to something, but I was too excited. This is like the nicest car I've ever half bought. Even though it's wrecked, I'm normally more of a budget guy, so this was a big splurge. With the car rolling off the trailer on its own power, I limped it over to my neighbor's driveway who had just bought a Model 3. I wanted to try and charge this battery up, and of course someone took the Tesla charging cable from the car, and I didn't have my old Chevy Volt / Nissan Leaf charger handy since I'd sold my last electric car to a family member to go diesel. I know, that doesn't make any sense, right? Well, I actually really like Mercedes diesels, okay? So I bought 2 of them. Now, before trying to charge, I needed to top up the coolant reservoir, and I was happy to see that it wasn't totally empty. Coolant is circulated inside of the battery pack since they get really hot, especially when charging, so it's important that you don't try to charge when it's low. Now, at this time, I thought the radiator just had a little tiny leak, but I soon learned that that wasn't the case at all.
Moment of truth. That's good, right? All right, so let's see if we still have our warning. Unable to drive, I gotcha. I don't know if we still, I'm looking for the warning for the low coolant. That should be gone by now. It's not coming up so far. So I think we're okay. Battery power very low, cabin overheat, okay. So we still haven't gotten any range whatsoever. It's been plugged in for, I don't know, only like 10-15 minutes, so I don't think that's a big deal. But it is flashing that it is charging. It is giving us time remaining, so I think we're okay. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the reason this isn't charging is as soon as it goes below the minimum line, it says unable to charge. So it's definitely the cooling system that's the issue. And what's happening now is, I haven't gotten this on camera yet, but it's basically just gushing right out of there as soon as the pump kicks on because we're outside and it's like 85 degrees. So what I have to do is bypass the radiator. So that hose that's going into the radiator, and there's one right here as well. We have to bypass that at this T. So basically cut that out of the loop so that this is just kind of circulating without a radiator. I think that'll be fine just to get a few miles of charge and get us rolling. So let me do that and cross our fingers that it charges. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Just, oh my gosh. That's not good. Oh, and the pump turned off. All right, Tesla radiator delete is complete. I filled her up with our organic milk water. But this is what we did. I got a huge piece of heater hose, a 90-degree plastic elbow that I had laying around the garage. And this is the factory hose that feeds a T right there that branches off to both legs of that radiator. So that is now bypassed, and this hose goes underneath the car and then plugs in right down here where this side's radiator hose used to plug into. So basically all we've done is completely bypass this radiator. I filled her up and she's ready to go. So I'm hoping that this was our entire problem and that we'll at least be able to get a few miles of charge. All right, it's been 15 minutes or so. Let's see if we have any charge. We're not leaking any more coolant or water at this point. We're totally full still. And let's check it out. Yes, look at that. We have 2 miles of range. That is awesome.
After getting a grand total of 3 miles of range from my neighbor, I brought the car back to home base, and the next day, I was not only greeted with 0 miles of range — these things can suck down a couple of miles overnight, depending on your settings — but I also found that my coolant reservoir was empty, and there wasn't a huge puddle under the car, just some remnants from installing that big hose for my makeshift radiator delete. Now, at this point, I'm thinking there's air trapped in the coolant circuit, just like you can have on a normal internal combustion engine, so the fact that the reservoir was empty was actually a good thing. This means that it burped it out. I topped up and headed back to my neighbor's to steal a little bit more free juice, thinking that it was all bled out, but the car would only charge for 3 miles before stopping on its own. I called up my good friend at the Tesla dealer, who we're gonna call Tesla Tommy to protect his identity from Elon, who would surely have him put in chains for helping me out. Tesla Tommy confirmed that I probably had air in the system and that they would need to bleed it with the Tesla computer, but I couldn't drive the car. It had a broken control arm and subframe, so it was up to me to figure this out. I didn't want air pockets in the battery pack, as I wasn't sure if they would create hot spots over time and damage the expensive battery. So every time I plug in that cable, I hear this pump kick on, I hear this one kick on. This diverter valve sounds like it's doing something, and sometimes so does this one. So I have a feeling that when you use the Tesla computer to bleed out the cooling system, that all you're doing is running these pumps and opening the diverter valves, probably in some special sequence. But I think we can get this to go. So right now the coolant level is basically full, so I'm hoping that we can get another big bubble out of this thing, because we're only able to charge like 2 or 3 miles at a time before it kicks us out, probably because it's overheating a cell, and there are sensors all over the battery pack, and if it starts to overheat, it will stop the charge, and that is a good thing. At this point, it was time to test out my theory, so I removed the reservoir cap, and I would simply plug it in, run to the front of the car, and sometimes watch the coolant go down a hair. Then I would unplug the charger and plug it in again, and I repeated this process probably about 10 times, and about every other try, I was pleasantly surprised with a lower coolant level. Haha, no Tesla computer at all, and the coolant level keeps on dropping, and that is because all of these valves and pumps are working, so they're actuating and flowing fluid, and sometimes you can actually hear some bubbles in these lines as well. I top up the reservoir with water when it went low, and I'm using water because we still have a radiator to replace, and when we do that, we're gonna lose coolant anyway, but I really wanted to catch this bleeding procedure live, so I set up my camera to record for about 20 minutes while I connected and disconnected the charging cable a few times, and as you can see here, the water level is going down pretty quick. What we're seeing is an air pocket being released and fluid filling that pocket in the battery pack or somewhere else in the coolant circuit. After topping up again, I let the car charge for several hours, and it looked like we were on the right path until at about 165 miles, it stopped charging again. All right, so it stopped at 165 miles of range. Pop the cap open. I don't know if you guys can hear this. Oh. Okay, there we go. The pump's just turned off, and the coolant did go down a little bit more, so I think I just need to start charging this thing or waking up the system a few more times to get all of the air out, and then we should be able to charge up to about I think this thing goes up to like 250 miles of range or something like that. Oh, and here's my charging setup. This is actually a first generation Nissan Leaf charging cable that's been modified to run 220. And I also have a couple of adapters that I pretty much never use. And then of course we have the Tesla adapter on the J1772 connector. So this is a Leaf charger that I had bought to use for my Chevy Volts
that I have now modified for my Tesla.
Now, after getting pretty far with this whole charging fiasco, I got out my pen and pad and started inspecting the entire car. There was still a month before Sam was coming to town, so I had to get all of the parts lined up and ready to go. I made a list and started ordering, although most of this stuff came off a nasty brown P85D that sat underwater for about 10 days before some YouTuber bought it to rebuild or something.
All right, the most important part of the inspection is making sure your pen matches the marker that they used at the auction, so that way everything makes sense.
With all the parts in hand, Sam and I had to replace that cracked front subframe so the control arm wasn't dangling anymore. We also replaced the cracked radiator, the broken AC condenser and fan, and the entire front plastic core support frame, and even a front headlight.
What do you got going on here, Sam?
I am swapping our fan motors that we almost missed, because like seriously, look at how hidden these things are.
Yeah.
They're just these little flaps. These are just stuck shut. This is off of our donor part here.
Why do you look so clean?
Well, because I just like to wash my hands a lot.
Okay.
Now, the rebuild with Sam took place about a month after I bled the system and charged the car, and then we drove it around a bit, so our range was getting kind of low. Now, charging at home is kind of cool, but I wanted to know if this car would supercharge, not only to make sure the battery wasn't damaged while sitting at the auction yard, but also to see if Elon had blacklisted the car, which can happen to salvage and rebuilt titled Teslas.
And so I brought the P85D to a Tesla Supercharger station to find out, and to be honest with you, if this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm gonna do. If this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm gonna do. If this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Man.
What's up, man?
Hey, this Tesla roadside service is pretty good.
It's not bad, huh?
All right, so I got my Tesla Ranger with me just in case. But we're just gonna go ahead and
Good form.
see what happens. How many?
Let me help you with that.
No, thank you, thank you.
gotcha.
All right, ready? Oh yeah, it's in. All right, let's see. It says ready to charge, starting to charge.
That's not bad. You got the blue ring. It's processing.
Okay.
Blue rings. Give it a minute. If it turns green, it's good. If it turns red, that's not so good.
We got a problem.
It's green, baby.
It's green. It's green.
Yeah.
Hey, check it out.
Let's see what it says.
She is supercharging. Wow, look at, dude, that is, if we could get rid of the warning, that is way faster than the garage. So what is, how many kilowatt hours is it?
So these are the urban superchargers. This is the updated version. These charge at a lot higher rate than normal.
All right, so right now the Tesla is supercharging at roughly 10 times what it was in my garage, right?
That's right. You had like a 20 amps.
Yeah, 20 amp.
Right? Yeah.
So you got to figure it's heating up like crazy right now, and what it bypasses something in the car, right?
Yeah. So what a supercharger does, it actually bypasses the onboard chargers and goes directly to the battery.
Okay.
It's a lot more efficient that way.
All right, so we're heating up like crazy. If this is gonna fail, it's definitely gonna fail here and not in my garage anymore after we repaired the coolant leaks and whatnot, and we actually have a radiator, a function. It's not a hose anymore.
Oh, awesome. That's good. That's
So that always helps.
That's a huge plus, right?
All right, so we're at 135 miles now, but keep in mind that in my garage on a 20 amp service, this quit at about 164 miles, and then I had to do my bleeding procedure again. Eventually, I did get it to fully charge to 225 miles at 80%, but because we're generating a lot more heat, we can still have a problem here because when Sam and I put the front end together, this thing has a battery chiller. So it has a cooler that uses the refrigerant from the air conditioning system to super cool the water and antifreeze mix that goes into the battery.
And here's a little explanation that I filmed while we were replacing that subframe.
So the Dodge Demon has something similar to this part because of its air-to-water intercooler system. And in the aftermarket world, on cars like my E55, on basically anything that has a water-to-air intercooler, you can use the AC refrigerant to super cool the coolant that's going to your intercooler. So in this case, Tesla has utilized this technology to super cool the antifreeze that's going to the battery pack because that thing gets very, very hot. So this is an expansion valve. We have have 2 AC lines, and this is our cooler, and we have 2 hoses that run the antifreeze through here. It gets very, very cold, and then it sends it right to the battery pack. So I didn't know these cars had this, but this is pretty awesome, and it's a very, very simple and efficient design.
Now, we did try to charge the AC system before supercharging, but we were having some issues with a CAN adapter we bought, and with Rich leaving in a few hours after we filmed this, we just didn't have time to mess with it.
So Rich, it's like 75 degrees outside, so there's a good chance that it's not kicking us out because it just hasn't gotten that hot.
It's pretty cool outside. If you actually look at the other cars that are charging here, none of the other cars have that condensation drip from the AC system. So it looks like even though these cars are supercharging, the AC hasn't been turned on any of them.
Call, man.
So it's probably a low enough temperature where it doesn't have to kick in, but still it's 50-50.
Okay, so that's the same AC refrigerant circuit as what cools the cabin, and if you guys remember, this condenser was completely destroyed, so it lost all that. So obviously we definitely have to charge up the AC on this car, and then when it gets up to about 100 degrees out here, that's really when it's going to use that. And it's going to use that also probably when you're driving around, maybe beating on it a little bit, especially in ludicrous mode.
Yeah, or driving around when it's like really hot outside, it'll start cooling the battery as well.
Right, right.
Yep, and in the winter time, it actually heats the battery too. There's a separate unit in the car itself.
Okay.
It actually heats the coolant and then runs it through the lines as well.
Okay.
It's a separate module for that.
Right, right, right. Oh, and that heater that Rich was talking about is buried in here. You really can't see it. It's underneath the cowl, but that is what heats up the coolant and sends it to the battery when it's cold out or in the wintertime, because you don't want a battery to get too hot, but you also don't want a battery to get too cold. That will definitely damage it and cause to a higher rate of degradation. So they want these things to last a very, very long time, and that was a big problem with the Nissan Leaf, is that it didn't have a system like this. It was air cooled, and those batteries would degrade quite quickly. Well, it's been a little bit over an hour, and I'm not gonna lie, I did not think that this was gonna fully charge because of the issues we were having in my garage, but charging is complete. We've charged all the way to 80%, so in this case 222 miles. Now obviously we are going to recharge up the AC system so that way it'll charge when it's much hotter out, and so we have cooling in the cabin. But there may come a day where I can't supercharge at all, right?
That's correct, yeah. So a lot of the times what Tesla will do is actually look at the salvage auctions themselves and look at salvage registered VIN numbers for cars, and they'll actually disable the supercharging on the cars themselves. So what they'll do is they'll send a signal to the car, and they'll disable all supercharging access on them.
Now, is there any rhyme or reason to this? Like, do I know when this is going to happen? Could it not happen?
You could get lucky.
Okay.
It could be like a year, it could be a couple of years, but eventually at some point, it may actually disable it, yeah.
So making these YouTube videos, probably not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
No,
I
no.
wouldn't put
Okay.
your VIN number in just in case.
All right, I think I'll cut this part out then.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Definitely don't put this part in. But it could happen. It has
Right.
happened to a few people already. But what Tesla's trying to do is they're trying to preserve the integrity of the supercharger system, because A, they don't really want people fixing cars, incorrectly, and a lot of the times it's a free service that they offer for people, and they want to limit who could actually use it and make priority for people that actually have paid and legitimate cars.
All right, guys, so there you have it. Our salvage Tesla will supercharge. It hasn't been blacklisted. The lack of refrigerant in the AC system hasn't affected us yet either. So we are good to go right now. What are you guys doing to me?
About that. Yep.
I want to say a big special thanks to this guy right here, our
Thank you
Ranger
very much.
serviceman. This is Sam, the intern. He is now my official camera guy, and he's living in my basement now. So
Yeah.
it's really, really nice to have these guys to assist me. I'm just trying to help them out with their channels. They're getting there. They're getting there. So
Trying to grow, man. That's all I
anyway,
wanna do.
like and subscribe to these guys. I really don't need it.
Where's the check at? Are you sending the check yet?
Yeah, it's what,
check.
$8 an hour,
Yeah, no.
right?
Add a couple zeros, buddy.
That'll do it for this video. The rest is basically just us making fun of each other for another minute. But next up for me is a cool video on the air conditioning, putting the car back together, and some insane, or should I say ludicrous, test drives. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see all of you guys in the next video.